Mr. Pankaj holds the degree in BTech in Agriculture Engineering from Pantnagar University, Uttarakhand. He has total working experience of 12 years in rural development sector. He started his professional career in 2007 with organization Srijan in Duni village from Tonk district of Rajasthan, where he was engaged in promotion of community institution based microfinance and dairy operations. Thereafter, in 2010, he moved to Uttarakhand to work with Himothan Society in Uttarakhand, where he led the microfinance portfolio and supported the Partners NGO in the hilly district in development of SHG and Women Federation based microfinance program. Currently, he is working with Center for Microfinance and associated organization of Tata Trust in Rajasthan and leading a WAS theme for the past 5 years. He has led and established the Tata Water Mission approach for community managed drinking water supply system in 200 villages from Siroi and Pali district of Rajasthan.
Good afternoon to Dr. V.C. Goyal, the convener, Dr. Jyoti Patil, and to you, Varun. And I shall now start my presentation. So I'm just starting to share my screen. So when we say safe drinking water supply and we link health to it, and the departments which manage this drinking water supply system in rural and urban areas are also known in many of the state as public health and engineering department. Health comes health come before the engineering part, but mostly the departments have become an engineering department currently. So forgetting about the health aspects of this. So when we say public water for public health, so it basically means we are ensuring that water is supplied in adequate quantity also, and it should also be safe. And by safe we mean free from any kind of chemical and biological contamination. So basically the drinking water interventions which we implemented in Siroi and Pali district of Rajasthan. I will be sharing the experiences from those projects, and with that only I will also be focusing on the rural aspects of safe drinking water supply systems, basically, and leaving out the urban aspects, as we do not have much experience in the urban working in the urban setup. So I'll be focusing more on rural aspects of the program. So this program we started in 2016 with support of two organizations, technical and financial support provided by One Drop Foundation and Tata Trust. This is basically a schematic diagram just to explain to the audience how this water supply system works in rural and urban supply system. It's basically focused on urban supply system. This kind of setup we can see in the urban setup. There is a water source. The water source could be surface water source from basically drawing water from rivers, streams into a dam, and then if the supply is from that hydro project, the dam, then it's a surface water. And otherwise currently the public health and engineering department are also using dug wells and bore wells also as a water source. So after a water source there is an intake chamber, and the intake chamber is connected to a treatment system. The treatment system the treatment system is basically for contamination. If there is any contamination, chemical contamination, then the water passes through this treatment system. If there is no chemical contamination, then this treatment system is not there in the supply, this whole schematic diagram. Then there is only, if there is no chemical contamination, then there is only this provision for chlorination of water. So with chlorination we can eliminate the biological contamination. So the water comes in this clear water reservoir. This clear water reservoir, from that clear water reservoir, it is pumped to elevated service reservoir. This elevated service reservoir are the overhead tanks which we usually see in the cities. The big tanks, elevated tanks. So we also call it overhead tank or elevated service reservoir. So we call it service reservoir. The word service is linked to this reservoir because after this reservoir, there is a distribution system either to public stand posts or to individual households. That distribution network, the service reservoir is catering to that distribution network, and that's why it is called service reservoir. So this is the water supply schematic diagram. It is almost common in all the parts of the country. So when this water supply system can be divided into two contexts, the rural and the urban. And when we differentiate when we differentiate between the rural and the urban, we can observe that most of the urban water supply system are pipe water supply system, and there is a direct household connection with that water supply system. While in the rural areas, the villages are mostly fetching water from hand pumps are the major source in most part of the rural areas in India, and there is very less penetration of pipe water supply in the rural areas. And mostly people are drawing water either from hand pumps provided by panchayat or public health engineering department, or they are drawing water from their own personal wells. So there is a huge gap between rural and urban system for water supply system. So another thing is that in the urban system, there is a clear water reservoir where the chlorination of water is done, and that for bacterial to eliminate the bacterial contamination. While in the rural supply, in the hand pumps, there is no chlorination, and even in personal open wells also, the chlorination is not there. And the intermittent, the very less penetration of pipe water supply, there will be chlorination if it's managed by the PhD, and if it's managed by the panchayat, then there are chances that the chlorination is not happening that regularly in that rural water supply system. And the water source selection criteria, which I already mentioned, that there is a surface water supply, then there are dam water, the tube well, open well. So main criteria for choosing a water supply source is the contamination. It should be contamination free, and second is it should be adequate. The yield should be adequate to meet the demand of the users. So that is the major selection criteria for water source. And in the urban setup, the schemes are mostly managed by PhD. In some cases where there is a township, like we have an example of like Jamshedpur, where Tata manages the water supply system and other things also. So, but mostly the water supply system are managed by PhD in the urban setup. In the rural setup, the water supply systems, if it is a multi-village scheme, then it's probably be managed by the public health engineering department. If it's a single village scheme, it might be constructed by the public health engineering department, but later on it is handed over to the panchayat, and so panchayat is majorly managing that water supply system. My presentation will be focused more on rural setup. The issues are also more prevalent in the rural setup, so the presentation is focused on the rural water supply system. Brief introduction of this organization we worked in. It's a Center for Microfinance. It's an associate organization of Tata Trust, and it was set up by different department of the government of Rajasthan and NABARD as a resource organization to support community-led microfinance and livelihood intervention. So from 2007 to till 2015, we worked on promotion of community-led microfinance and livelihood intervention, basically promoting women self-help groups and federations. But in 2015, there was a shift in the strategy that we need to focus more beyond livelihoods, and then these themes were chosen as education, maternal and child health, nutrition, water and sanitation, and skill development. So these were chosen to be chosen for as these were seen as indicators for good quality of life. If we are able to enhance the livelihood and microfinance finance access of the rural community, then we also need to work on the quality of life, those indicators which pertain to the quality of life. So these themes were chosen after 2015. So since 2015, we have started these interventions. So this drinking water supply and sanitation project we implemented in 200 villages. These are the mostly are the tribal villages. Gracia and Bhil are the tribes in these villages, and from Sirohi and Pali district of Rajasthan. And the idea was to improve the quality of life of these community through community-led water and sanitation institutions. So this was the idea, and the specific objective of the project was to provide sustainable access to and use of water sanitation facilities products by 20,000 households and 120 schools and anganwadis, and then supplementing it with the additional activities of working on behaviors, so that these facilities are sustained over a longer period of time, and to develop sense of ownership among community for sustainability of these interventions. And the long-term impact which was envisioned while we started this project was to reduce horse-related diseases by 50%. This is the area. Just basically, if you can see the orange bar, then you can see that 62% of the overall population is tribal population. And the criteria which was chosen drinking water supply system was that this access to improved water source shall be provided within a distance of 100 meters from the household, and the collection time per trip shall be less than 30 minutes. So the basic idea was to reduce the drudgery of women, as women are mainly engaged in fetching water, to reduce their drudgery through that's why this indicator was selected. And another was to provide water in adequate quantity for like 40 liter per capita per day. So the water will be for drinking, cooking, bathing, washing utensil, and toilets and toilet purposes. So these were the this was the criteria for per capita demand was set as 40 liter per capita per day, and it should be free from chemical and biological contamination, and the water supply should be assured. There shall be minimum interruption, and if in case of any breakages, it shall be repaired within 2 days. So for that, the water user committees were also formed, which were responsible for managing these schemes. I'll be skipping this slide, basically mentioning about the different interventions under the WAS project, but I will be focusing more on drinking water, so I'll just skip that. If we see that what are the effects the poor quality water can have on human body, so this diagram is very accurately presenting those effects on the body of human body because of contaminated water. So if you can see this fluoride. So the fluoride, what impact that fluoride causes? Fluoride causes discoloration and damage of teeth. Then fluoride also causes fluorosis, deformities in bones, and problems in joints. And it also interferes in the digestive system of the human body. So fluoride is one of the major contaminant in and almost all the 33 districts in Rajasthan are affected with fluoride, but some districts are more fluoride affected. So Siroi is one of that fluoride affected district. And then you can see nitrate. If there is an excess amount of nitrate, then it causes a condition where the hemoglobin is not able to carry adequate amount of oxygen in the body of infants, and that condition is known as blue baby syndrome. So it's caused by excess nitrate. More than 45 ppm is, if nitrate is there, then this condition is caused. And iron is basically here in Rajasthan, it's not much of an issue, the iron contamination, but we can see the iron contamination basically in Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha, these states, the water is contaminated with iron, and the iron also affect the abdomen and stomach region of the human body. So these are few, and then there is arsenic. Arsenic is basically, if we see arsenic, it is basically found in the Ganga basin. So the districts which are near to the Ganga basin, you can see Ganga and Brahmaputra basin both. There is a problem of arsenic. So in UP, Bihar, West Bengal, Assam, there are cases of arsenic, and arsenic is more severe. The effects are more severe compared to other contamination, and it can cause skin diseases, and also can lead to cancer. So and there are other contaminants also which are presented here, but I'm just skipping it. Like chloride is there. Then these were all the chemical contamination. Then there is biological contamination. In the biological contamination, is caused by poor sanitation and contaminated water. And the diseases which caused by biological contamination is cholera, dysentery, hepatitis, diarrhea, typhoid. So these kind of diseases can be caused by biological contamination, and there is a bacteria which is called E. coli. It is found in human excreta. So that is the major biological contaminant in the water, and which is caused by poor sanitation or contamination near the water source. This can be found. And I will share one example from our this Sirohi and Pali area only. Then when we, like most of the communities drink water from their own personal open wells. So when we surveyed these open wells, we surveyed around 70 open wells. So out of these 70 open wells, 62 were found to be contaminated with biological contamination, this E. coli contamination. So almost 90% of the open wells are contaminated with this biological contamination, because they are open, they are not protected, and the contamination is more severe during the monsoon, pre-monsoon and monsoon season. So these are the causes. And so in rural areas, it's become absolutely essential to treat water from this with chlorine, so that we can address the issue of biological contamination. And it is dynamic. This contamination is dynamic. It changes every day. Even if we have provided chlorinated water to the community today, then maybe tomorrow they can again have a contaminated water. So the chlorination need to happen every day. So and even after we have supplied the contamination-free water in the tap, again the contamination can happen if the communities are not following adequate hygiene practices. They are not washing their hand with soap after defecation or before eating food. So there also the contamination can happen. So biological contamination is very dynamic, and so it need to be checked at every level till it is the water is consumed by the human body. So because of this contamination, as per the UNICEF, 1 in 3 people globally do not have access to safe drinking water. So by this, we mean that basically they are not having this biological contamination-free water, and globally around 3 lakh children die annually uh, because of diarrhea, and the major cause of diarrhea is this contaminated water and poor hygiene practices. So diarrhea causes maximum death because of this biological contamination, followed by hepatitis and typhoid and cholera. So these are basically the test kits which should be compulsory for water quality monitoring in the field. So when we plan a drinking water system in the rural areas, so these kits should be essentially be provided at the either at the ASA with ASA or Anganwadi, and fixing their responsibility to regularly check the water for these contamination, and or if there is a water committee there, like in the flagship program of the government of India, this Jal Jeevan Mission, it is proposed to have village water sanitation committee in every villages. So if there is such committee, then this field testing kit should be provided at every committee, and they should be provided training on that, and that what is the desirable limit, what is maximum permissible limit, what are the health impacts of that contaminants, and how should we prevent them, and what are the mode of treatment for these. So like for example, if we take fluoride, the desirable limit is less than 1 ppm. It's parts per million. We can also calculate it in mg per liter. So mg per liter is also, if we calculate the mg per liter, it comes about 1 ppm. So 1 mg per liter is 1 ppm. So the fluoride content in water shall be less than 1 ppm, but the maximum permissible limit is 1.5 ppm. So it should not be more than 1.5 ppm. If it is more than 1.5 ppm, it can have an impact such as skeletal fluorosis, dental fluorosis, or digestive problem. How can we prevent that? We cannot prevent fluoride contamination. The only way of prevention is that we consume water, fluoride-free water. Then we can prevent these impact. But we can minimize this impact if we have proper intake of calcium, magnesium, vitamin C, antioxidant rich diet we are taking. Then the impact can be minimized of this fluoride, because what fluoride does to body is that it also extract calcium, magnesium, vitamin C from the body. So it has to be supplemented to the human body. So that's why fluoride is also known as poor man disease, fluorosis, because they are not having the balanced diet in their daily food. So but in the urban setup, the middle class or rich families, they have diversified diets, so they can easily mitigate. Even if they are consuming fluoride contaminated water, they can mitigate the impact. And the treatment is for this fluoride contaminated water is defluoridation, and is in this defluoridation there is activated alumina which absorb the fluoride ion in it, and the rest of the water is then becomes fluoride free. So this is one example of one of the contaminations. Similarly, for TDS, there is a desirable limit of 500 ppm, but the maximum permissible limit is 2000 ppm. And during the droughts season, which comes in once in a decade drought situation, the Rajasthan PHED for some districts have also increased the maximum permissible limit to 3000 ppm. A normal human body cannot consume that 3000 ppm water, but some districts of Rajasthan have been regularly consuming that much contaminated TDS water. So like Jaisalmer, Barmer, these are the districts where the TDS is very high. And then there is nitrate, the limits should be less than 45 ppm. Then there is hardness and iron. And for biological contamination, there is no permissible limit or non-permissible or desirable limit. It should be zero presence. So either it is biological contamination free or biologically contaminated. There is no limit. So these are the field test kits are if they are made available with the committee or ASA or Anganwadi, then we can have regular water quality monitoring by the community, and accordingly the decision can be taken. The issues can be raised to the concerned body, concerned department, concerned panchayat, or concerned whichever the body is there. So those issues could be raised and proper timely addressed. And for that, to address these issues, like I mentioned about the community, this is the picture of one of the scheme implemented by CMF in Rajasthan. So it's a drinking water supply scheme which is catering to 24 households, and this is the scheme is managed by a committee known as Jal Upbhokta Samuh, and these are the women members who does the regular chlorination of the water to make the water contamination free. And this water source is also regularly tested every 6 months, once pre-monsoon and once post-monsoon. Pre-monsoon test is done in May or June, and post-monsoon test is done in November or December. So the lab test is done for chemical contamination. For biological contamination, simple field test kit is there. The H2S boil is there. So that test they do, and to treat, they are doing the chlorination. So no other, and because it is chemical contamination free, so no other treatment facility is there. Only they are treating the water for biological contamination in this scheme. So if community take ownership of their schemes, so that is the most assured way that the water supply systems in rural areas are functioning properly. That is why the Jal Jeevan Mission now focuses majorly on community ownership development. So because they have already experienced how Panchayat is managing the scheme, how PHED have managed the schemes in the rural areas. So this time they are focusing that there shall be a village water sanitation committee, and there shall be ownership of the community to develop that ownership. And they have also proposed under the Jal Jeevan Mission to have community contribution, 10% contribution from the community, and then also once the scheme is commissioned, the members only will contribute, will pay the monthly water tariffs, will fix and pay the monthly water tariffs and manage their scheme. So CMF in Siroi and Rajasthan so far have completed 130 such schemes. More than 200 samitis have been formed. 52 lakh community contribution have been mobilized towards completion of these schemes. And those completed schemes, the this water user group have now also fixed monthly water tariffs to manage the scheme. And so the rural schemes are managed by a water user group or Pani Samiti, and this is the composition. There is a general body. General body means all households which are being benefited from this scheme. They comprise of the general body. Then there is an executive body comprising of 9 to 15 members who can meet every month with fixed agendas to manage the scheme properly. So there is the executive body. They also have 50%, more than 50% women representation shall be there. So basically fetching water from far off distances was the problem faced by women only. So we purposefully include this that 50%, more than 50% women representation shall be there. Similar concept has been proposed in Jal Jeevan Mission also. So there also more than 50% women representation have been proposed. Then there shall be proportionate representation from all castes which are present in that committee, in that all in the general body. So according to their representation in the according to their population in the general body, they should have proportionate representation in the committee also. The office bearer, president, secretary, treasurer. So treasurer shall be mandatorily a women member, preferably an SHG member. So SHGs generally women have been trained very well in managing the accounts in the SHG. So this is also proposed for the water user groups in the schemes implemented by CMF. And if it is a multi-habitation scheme, then there shall be representation from all the habitation. Like if in the Jal Jeevan Mission, there is a scheme for 300 villages, 300 households in a village, and these households live in different habitations. So every habitation shall have representation in that committee. So this is how we usually explain the concept of community ownership being very essential for long-term sustainability of the scheme. This is a horse and rider game, and the rider is the rider here is the community, and horse is, here is water supply system or panchayat or public health engineering department. So any kind of NGO. So if all the burden comes on the agency and community is only riding the horse, then they will not be reaching their destination where they intend to reach. And so if they work hand in by holding hands with the facilitating agency or panchayat or PHED, then they can reach the destination faster, and the scheme will also be functional for over a longer period of time, and they can easily manage the system by themselves only. The sense of ownership will be developed. So communities shall be treated as partner or a stakeholder in the scheme rather than the just as a beneficiary. So this is very crucial for the in the rural context, that community be considered as partner or stakeholder in the scheme. So sense of ownership is crucial, and willingness to contribute in planning, and finally also contribute in operation and maintenance of the scheme. So that is key for sustainability of these water supply systems in rural areas. So this is basically the stepwise activities which have been planned in the Jal Jeevan Mission. So this is how the Jal Jeevan Mission is. Like each scheme has a cycle of 18 months, and these 18 months are divided into different phases. And there is a pre-planning phase where the village water and sanitation committee is formed. The government officials and Panchayati Raj institution members are oriented on Jal Jeevan Mission, the concept. Community mobilization take place during this pre-planning phase, and baseline is also done in the pre-planning phase. Then there is a planning phase where the BWSC which is formed, they are now, there is one exercise to be conducted with them. That exercise is called Village Action Plan. In the Village Action Plan, they plan the whole for the whole water supply scheme also, and for long-term sustainability for this water recharge intervention also they plan in the Village Action Plan only, and where should be the what should be the source, where should be the location of the tank, and who will donate the land, if is it the private land or the government land, and from where the NOC can be taken. So these kind of things are included in the Village Action Plan, and how many households, existing households are having functional water tap connection, and how many households need to be covered through this scheme. So this all comes under the Village Action Plan. And then in the community mobilization, the willingness for this FSTC means functional household tap connection. It is a term used in JJM. The community shall be willing to take the tap connection, and they should be willing to contribute for that tap connection, and they shall also be willing for judicial use of water. So these kind of themes are included in the community mobilization interventions, and then they are also trained on record keeping, maintaining account registers and other relevant registers, and then a technical person from department, public health engineering department, comes and prepare DPR based on this village action plan. So village action plan is the basic document prepared by the community, and based on the village action plan, this DPR is formed, and then its technical validation is done. And then this vendor selection and execution of the scheme is done. And after completion of the schemes, there is it's wrongly written as planning phase. It's a operation and maintenance phase. So in the operation maintenance phase, the handover of all the documents like DPR, drawings, invoices, guarantee card, guarantee warranty of the pumps, these kind of documents are handed over to the community, to the committee, and this O&M training is provided to them, and monthly water tariff is fixed, an operator is fixed, which will take care of all the issues in the schemes like leakages and everything, and also the daily operation of the scheme, daily operation of the pumps, cleaning of the tank every quarter, chlorination of the water every day. So these kind of functions need to be played by this operator, and committee will pay some honorarium to that operator, which will come from the monthly water tariffs only. So this is how like in the scheme implemented by CM, how the habitation was selected for water supply scheme. So the first criteria is willingness to pay. Demand should be there, and when we say demand, we need to differentiate demand from desire. So if someone is saying that I want a household tap connection, but I am not willing to pay for it, then it is a desire by the of the family. It's not a demand. If it is a demand, then they will be willing to pay for that. So then only it will be considered as if there is demand for the water or not. So then they are willing to participate, willing for contribution. So these all things which like this Pani Samiti representation from they are willing to have representation from every section of the community, and they are willing that the operation maintenance will be done by them only. And some technical criteria are also taken into consideration, like the water source should be safe and safe, free from biological chemical contamination, and the water yield test is conducted. So in the yield test, it is ensured that the bore well or open well or any kind of source is having sufficient discharge to meet the demand of the habitation, So these are the technical criteria for selection. So this I am skipping. It's basically I've already covered in the 18-month cycle. So these are the steps. So this is how I was talking about that village action plan. This is how the village action plan is prepared. So first, these are prepared in a small habitation. Then all these habitation plan can be combined into a village action plan. So selection of water source, water tank, solar. If it's a solar scheme, that solar panel, where these things will be located. Then these land records are to be taken from the patwari, and proper NOC or land donation need to be there on the stamp paper. Then exact location of stand post is finalized for the schemes. Then whether the scheme shall be electricity based, diesel based, or solar based, that is also decided based on existing situation of the village. What are the existing facilities? Based on that, this is also decided in the village action plan. And finally, this catchment area production work for groundwater recharge. So wherever the source is located, its catchment area need to be identified, and it need to be treated so that the source continues to supply water for the design period of the scheme. And normally the scheme is designed for 30 years period. So for 30 years, the source shall be able to supply water. So these are the support required from panchayat while required by water user groups from the panchayat, like for the borewell, open well, if they can support in constructing the borewell or open well, the NOCs from land, and then coordination with Patwari for land record, electricity connection, and bank account opening. So these kind of supports are required by WG from panchayat or concerned department or financial institutions. Now, in these community institutions, I'll be sharing some of the learnings which we have gained during the execution of the program. So, one of the issue which is faced during execution or also after execution is elite capture by the dominant either dominant community based on their well-being, their wealth, or a dominant community based on their caste. So there is elite capture which we need to prevent. So the importance of equity and regular meeting shall be there from the starting of the preparation, and every section of the community shall be taken into loop while making key decisions. So this elite capture, I will in one of the schemes in one of the village in Bali block. So what happened? There was a location of tank was to be finalized by the community. So there was one person who was comparatively well off in comparison to other members, and he influenced the other members to take decision in favor of the land where he wanted to have the tank. So the tank was constructed in the land identified that influential person, and finally they were warned that if the tank is constructed at that place, there might be issue of not having adequate pressure head to supply water to every household, and that problem they had to face after completion of the scheme because of wrong selection of land. So the wrong selection of land was only because of this elite capture. And similarly, in another case, an influential person of higher caste tried to have the solar panel nearby to his house. So the other community also could say anything. So to resolve that issue, the community meeting was called, and everyone was asked to share their view, but they were quite afraid to share the view. So the whole work need to be stopped, and after that they again held meeting, and then the issue was resolved. So this is how the elite capture can be done. This elite capture it also can be observed in panchayat level schemes, like the location of hand pumps. There are a number of hand pumps in the habitation where Sarpanch house is located, or if it to be located nearby to the influential people, or the habitation where higher caste people are there. So traditionally also, if we see the prosperous community, community were having all the water sources, and the poor community were lacking the water sources in their households. so in their habitation. So this is the issue which need to be addressed while designing the water supply scheme. So while this operation or maintenance of the community managed scheme, we devised a strategy that we need to have a strategy similar to what the women self-help group have applied to improve the quality of self-help groups. So we call it the five principles. The five principles are known as Panch Sutra. And what are those Panch Sutra? One is the most important criteria for a water supply system to be functional for a longer period of time is to have regular meeting. So this is the most important criteria that the village water and sanitation committee or water user group need to have regular meeting every month so that the issues are resolved timely. There are no the community conflicts are also resolved timely, technical issues are also resolved timely, and no two households separately trying to resolve their issues and fighting among themselves. So that need to be avoided. So every issue need to be presented in the meeting. And if the meeting is regular, then only this can be achieved. Second is regular monthly water tariff. So water tariff need to be collected regularly. So for obvious reason to maintain the scheme, regular record keeping, everything shall be recorded regularly, whether the technical aspect or the financial aspect. So by technical aspect, we mean daily the pump lock need to be maintained. Started when it is closed, that pump lock need to be maintained regularly. Whenever there is maintenance issue of the pump, that need to be entered into the pump log. Similarly, when the water tank is clean, say every quarter, that date need to be maintained in the record keeping registers. Solar panel cleaning date, so these need to be maintained. Then monthly water tariff records need to be member wise tariff situation, and monthly income and expenditure statement need to be prepared. So these need to be cash book need to be maintained. So these records need to be maintained for better transparency in the scheme, so that the confidence of the member is always there with the committee. And then the regular chlorination, tank cleaning, other periodic maintenance work need to be done. And operator, it should not be a responsibility of everyone. One person shall be fixed as operator, and it's his or her honorarium shall be fixed. So these five sutras, if followed properly, the scheme, the community managed schemes can be functional over a longer period of time. So we call them Pancha Sutra. Apart from Panchasutras, there are other sutras also which we have not mentioned here. So those are also the principles, but these Panchasutra were the five key principles that are mandatory. So other are that conflict resolution need to be resolved, conflict need to be resolved regularly. Then water need to be used optimally. So under Jal Jeevan Mission, 55 liter per capita per day water is provisioned. So by 55 liter per capita per day, we means 3 liter of drinking water, 5 liter of cooking, 15 liter for bathing, 10 liter for washing utensils, 10 liter for toilets, 12 liter for washing clothes. So total 55 liter per person per day. So if there are 5 person in a family, then 55 into 5. So that is the water that need to be consumed by the household. So how that can be monitored? So it shall be the responsibility of the village water sanitation committee that is monitoring the complete scheme, that is managing the complete scheme, that the any one person shall not be taking advantage of this drinking water scheme and having this water for irrigation purposes or other purposes which are not allowed in the drinking water scheme. So the priority need to be set while framing the rules and regulation of the community, and appropriate penalty clauses or that can be incorporated into the village water sanitation committee, so that these water shall be used in a priority as set by the VWSCs. So these are some community area of the source shall also be treated. These are some like this is one of the example of the interventions which was done near the water source for recharge of water into the area. So this is a earthen dam. And then for sustainability of the scheme, which I mentioned in the very start of the presentation, that the community behavior the behavior also need to be interventions function over a longer period of time. Even if the chlorinated water is available at the tap, it can again be contaminated if the household is not following the practice of safe hygiene practices are not followed. So the water which that household will be consuming will be contaminated, and even after providing water till the tap, safe water till the tap, the ultimate objective is not achieved. So it is very important that behavior change intervention shall be done in parallel to the this implementation of the schemes. And there are like in CMF we have a behavior change focused behavior change campaign on different water sanitation behaviors. So, and it's a folk art based campaign. We call it a social art based behavior change campaign, and one of our partner organization, One Drop. So it's a they have an expertise on this social art behavior change campaign, and they provide a technical expertise to CMF to execute these campaigns. So this is one of now under the Jal Jeevan Mission, key component which they have mentioned in the guideline is the IoT based smart water management system. So what is it? IoT means Internet of Things. So smart water management system, what is that? That the water which is being used will be monitored. There will be live real time data monitoring of that monitoring of that particular scheme. So the pH live, and they can know that which scheme is consuming water more than the designated quantity, or where the water quality issues are there, where this chlorine is properly applied or not. So and daily LPCD of households are listed here. So the member which have used, there is a red dot. So the member which have used more than 55 LPCD, so it will be indicated by the red dot. So CMF has piloted one of the in one of the scheme, this smart water management system, where the members are also monitoring the system. So they are not seeing this complicated dashboard. They are seeing a very simplified dashboard in the village. For the professionals who can monitor the scheme remotely. So so that appropriate decisions are also taken timely. So there is a like sensor for borewell also. So if the water level in the borewell is going down, so alarm can be set that we need to cut down on our water consumption because the water situation, groundwater situation is going worse, and we need to plan the catchment area treatment works also in that cluster. Similarly, if chlorination is not done properly, so like in this graph, the chlorine there, if it's coming absolutely flat, so it means that chlorination is not done, so that the same thing is the committee can communicate to the operator that you are not doing your job properly. So these can be communicated. So this is the smart water management system. This is the overall approach. I have covered mostly all the points here already in the towards implementation for the Jal Jeevan Mission. So I'm skipping the slide. Mention for behavior change and also for orientation of on the program and for planning like development of village action plan. So the community shall be engaged from the start. So these kind of like community management, community mobilization activities like street play, folklore, exposure visit, trainings, rallies, SSG rallies, school children rallies, debates, essay writings. So the whole environment shall be made aware of the importance of the safe drinking water and why we need to conserve water, why we need to have community participation in the scheme for sustainability of these schemes over a longer period of time. So these kind of activities will have an impact on proper functioning of the schemes for a longer period of time. And so these are the community mobilization activities. And some of the key differentiating factors which we focused and which are also being suggested to the Jal Jeevan Mission is that in habitations where there is a scattered settlement, smaller habitation level pipe supply scheme need to be planned rather than going for a village level scheme. And the village action plan shall be consolidation of smaller habitation level plan. So this is one of the suggestions for the Jal Jeevan Mission which we have given that this need to be done. And then conservation of many members prefer to consume water from the open wells. So conversion of these open wells into the protected or improved water source can also be done through mobilization of the communities that need or providing technical support to the communities that these open wells need to be converted into protected source. And then like second challenges which we faced was that fluoride contamination in the we need to treat fluoride contamination more of a behavioral challenge rather than the technological challenge. So if both female and male member of the household are willing to share responsibility of fetching water, fluoride free water, even if it is at a larger distance from their household, then if it's a shared responsibility, then even if there is no technological intervention, they can consume the fluoride free water even after having no fluoride free water source in their habitation but out of the habitation. So there shall be a shared responsibility by female and male members of the households. And another challenge was that some alternative to the pipe water supply system also need to be, because there are many habitations which are so much scattered that pipe water supply schemes are not possible, and also there is not adequate water source available there. Like in Rajasthan, there are many habitations where no adequate water source available there. So in that case, for the summer season, like the this rainwater harvesting system with either through roof or catchment can be planned. And then if we see an example of Sirohi district, the groundwater situation in the district is such that the exploitation is 109%. So this means that if every year 100 liter water is going into the groundwater, then they are consuming 109 liters. So they are using water from the reserves. So if we compare it to the national level, in the national level, the figure is 62%. Like on a country level, if 100 liter water is consumed, it's going into the groundwater, then 62 liter is being consumed by the people. So that's a data for the national level. And under the Jal Jeevan Mission, they have 15-member VWSC, but they have representation from, they have provisioned representation from PRI member, school, teacher, frontline worker, PhD, one SSG representative. This I am telling about the Rajasthan situation. So there are probability that many habitation may not be adequately represented in the BWSC because all the functionaries are there. So representation from common community may be lacking. So to address that issue, we can have more representation from each habitation of the household so that the village action plan which is prepared is proper and the community the whatever scheme is executed is as per the demand by the community and not as per the understanding of few selected PRI and school or government functionaries. So with this, I complete my presentation, and if there are any queries, I am happy to answer them.